That would be me.
Look who we're hanging with.
Jason David Frank.
Boom shakalaka.
Please do not change channel.
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin' with Web show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thank you so much for logging on and tuning in. We're going to give them a second. They need to hit subscribe so they can come back over and over again. We've got authors, filmmakers, musicians, creative minds of all kinds. We're hanging out with Hangin' with Web show alumnus and good friend, multimedia producer Kelli Mondshein. How you doing, Kelli?
Hey, good.
Good to see you again. How are you?
Busy, as always.
I like busy. Busy is good, right?
Busy is a good problem to have.
Busy is a good problem to have. We ran into you last at MIF.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, that was just only a couple months ago.
It was only a couple months, and yet it was an eternity in work.
Feels like it was, yes.
If you're a film producer, if you're a multimedia producer of any kind, then you know 2 months is like, it's like dog years. You're 270 years old at the end of 2 months because of all the work you're doing,
I feel
right?
like I'm 270
wow.
years old.
Okay. Kelli is responsible for Jellybean Media Productions. Yes. Tell us about Jellybean Media Productions.
Jellybean Media Productions is a multimedia company, and we specialize in photography, videography, editing, graphic design. So those are the four main pillars, but then within those pillars, there's, those subcategories, sub-pillars. So in photography, headshots, animal photography, family portraits, concert photography.
Wow.
Videography, short films, documentaries, interviews. Certain things like that. So we're constantly
always going.
Always going.
Do you actually sleep, or is that optional at times?
I try. It's optional.
Yeah,
I need to get a little better with my sleep schedule.
Negotiable, right?
Negotiable.
Yeah. What's coming down the pipe? What's the latest project you're working on right now?
The latest project I'm working on, I just finished up a commercial for a hair salon. And I am editing a feature film that's supposed to be showing in Orlando in February. So those are my biggest projects I've been working on right now.
Awesome. What's the feature film?
It's called The Cupid Killer, and it's about
The Cupid Killer.
Yes, it actually deals with Greek mythology.
Doesn't that sound fun?
It deals with Greek mythology.
Wait, when is that coming out?
February.
Process. Yes. She's killing Cupid on Valentine's Day.
Right before
before Valentine's Day, okay?
Boom,
process
boom.
that a little bit. Okay, we have to know now, what is this film about?
This film tells the story of the Greek mythology of Cupid. When he wanted somebody to fall in love with him, he pierced them with an arrow. But instead, when the man is going on dates and he's trying to find the girl to fall in love with him, when he pierces them through the heart with the arrow, he actually ends up killing them.
Not the ideal date. Really. I long time ago, lots of dates, never been killed, which I think is a plus.
Yes.
Kelli, you with me on that?
I'm with you on that.
Okay, yeah. Dangerous dating. That's danger dating. That's right. Wow, man, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting film.
Okay, so Jellybean Media Productions. Favorite candy? Where did that come from? Jellybean.
It actually stemmed from my childhood. So my father used to call me Kelli Jelly Belly when I was growing up because it rhymed.
Okay.
And so Jellybean is, Jelly Belly,
Jelly
bean. So that's where it came from, as well as the fact that the bean is shaped like a smile. And so I'm always the type of person that has a smile on my face, very personable, outgoing, and bubbly. And so it all ended up tying together from my childhood, and so that's where it came from.
Wow. Now you do a little bit of everything with Jellybean.
Yes.
You do writing, directing, producing. What's your creative outlet? What's your passion? What do you love most about what you do?
Because there's so many mediums for what I do, but ultimately it's the story behind everything. So even if it's, writing something, editing something, filming something, we all have a story. And so that's really the driving force and the motto behind the business is, we all have a story to tell, even if you don't think about it. Life is cinematic in itself, so let's make moments into memories. And that's my business motto.
I like that. I like that. Let's make moments into memories. Excellent motto. What are your favorite stories to tell?
Anything that really has meaning and purpose for life in general. Something that Do you like character-driven stories? Do you like to talk about people? Do you like to talk about events? What are the stories that speak to you the most? The ones that have more of that heartfelt meaning to them. So really an example is going back to when we talked at the MIF. My film Surviving Cancer was about my grandfather.
Yeah.
And telling his story of having cancer on and off throughout his entire life, ultimately leading to his death. That is pulling at the heartstrings, and so something that tells that story and evokes that kind of emotion and that passion for life and to understand something.
Well, ultimately the stories that speak to our audiences are the stories about our own humanity.
Yeah.
The trials and tribulations of just being here. Being on this tiny little blue planet has a whole series of dramas that will unfold, hopefully over a long lifetime. And telling those stories and those slices of life is an important part of that journey, I think, for most people.
Yeah.
So, if you could do any project, you just pick a project out of thin air and it's the ultimate opus for your creative process, what would that project be?
Actually, something that I'm trying to work on and hopefully get the pre-production started for next year is a documentary on mental illness.
Wow.
So that really, speaks to me because it's such a huge thing nowadays with our society and the way society is.
And a tough topic to tackle,
very
too.
tough topic, but people don't seem to realize the effects that mental illness have on others, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. People consider those as illnesses or diseases, and it's not an illness, it's not a disease. It's a condition that somebody has, and being able to try and convey that to somebody is kind of hard. They might not fully understand it, so being able
some of those conditions too turn out to be schizophrenia, for example, is something that is, once diagnosed and once it's extreme enough, it's very identifiable.
Yeah.
But depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, these are all disorders that people can live functional lives. You don't even know that that's going on until sometimes it's too late.
Exactly.
So that's a really hard issue to tackle. Are you hoping to start a project on that very soon? Is there something that's in the works? Are you writing something, working on something?
Yes, it's in the works. It's in the very, very early stages of pre-production. So I'm actually working with NAMI Space Coast, and we're trying to get some funding for that, and talking with other people that are involved in the mental health communities, government officials, and really trying bring this to fruition, because it's so important for people to realize that people are struggling, and you might not understand what they're going through, and you might deem them as one of those crazy people that's going to be up on the news shooting up a school, and that's not what people that have a mental illness want to be classified in that type of group.
Yeah, it is. Well, for so many people, it's a daily struggle.
Yes.
It's not what you see on CNN. It's not that pinnacle moment of breaking. It's every day. Every day people struggle with these mental illnesses to try to live their lives like normal folk. And things pile up. So let's get those stories out there before they make CNN.
Yeah.
That's really the idea here. So let's talk about photography as a part of your business and videography. Are you a visual person? Is that something that you're passionate about, telling those visual stories and photos and
I've
video?
always been that creative person that I can see something and then I'm like, this would be really cool to either photograph or make even if it's just like a short B-roll or maybe turning into a short film. And I'm just like, if I see it, I can start trying to visualize it.
All right, what's the coolest thing you've ever seen and not had the camera for, where you're like, oh man, I wish my camera was right there?
There's been so many missed opportunities for that, which is why I actually
Every photographer and videographer knows this plight. You're walking around, all of a sudden the perfect image passes by and you're like, if I only, ding, what's the coolest thing that you've had that you've lucked out and the camera's been right there and you're like, I got it?
I was driving to Orlando to visit my parents, and I was on I think it was either the 520 or the 528, and the sun was setting, and I had just got done finishing a shoot, and so I had my camera in the trunk, and it was just like that perfect moment where you see the sun behind the clouds and just the color of it. And
wow.
I literally pulled off the side of the road, got my camera out of the back of the trunk of my car, and just set it up on top of the hood of my car, and I just started taking pictures and some video, and I'm just like, this
awesome.
is, you know, this is that moment.
And that's why you do what you do.
That's why I do what I
Turn
do.
moments into memories.
Yes.
Right there. We've got to wrap it up, folks. We've been hanging out with Kelli Mondshein, the multimedia producer from Jellybean Media Productions, Hanging with Web Show alumnus. You've already caught her interview from MIF. You're going to catch this one now. You're going to look right now, not right now, like when the video's over. Then you're going to go over and you're going to check out Kelli Mondshein on the World Wide Web. We're going to put links down below so you can find her. In the meantime, we're going to thank our partners and friends, our great friends at the Brevard Renaissance Fair, our great friend and artist Josh Bauer at J. Bauer Art, our friends here at Pound the Grape in the Melbourne Square Mall. Come on by, grab a glass of adventure, enjoy Pound the Grape in the mall. Our good friends at Off the Chain Radio, Yvonne Mason, Famous Faces and Funny, Space Coast Comics, Something Unique Magazine, our great friends here at Brevard Film and Talent who are sharing the day with us today, bringing in artists, authors, filmmakers, creative minds of all kinds. Remember, everybody, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next.